Thanks for joining me here today as you and I can both learn together some of the many secrets of Waterdrops. I'd like to introduce you today to an important water drop. She's a very young water drop. Her name is Lily, and we start to learn about some of her adventures when she's in Costa Rica. As I begin to read, it might be helpful if you would close your eyes and just imagine what is happening with Lily and the other things around her in Costa Rica. In the twinkling sunlight in tropical lands like Costa Rica, water drops quickly change shape as more droplets appear. The music of their arrival is very much like a symphony. Dozens of droplets arrive simultaneously onto the same large papaya leaf, almost as if they have appointments. Or perhaps they're waiting for the morning train to some distant land. However, here in Costa Rica, the trains are very limited and could certainly not travel to several different countries as the fabulous trains in Europe. Nonetheless, each droplet has many stories to share about its own strange and extraordinary journey before arriving on this particular leaf on an exotic fruit tree in the middle of the jungle. For example, Jaguar tells that he had dropped off of the wing of a passing toucan yesterday, late in the afternoon. He brags that he had barely cleared the hillside on a wild ride as they followed another toucan before they were shaken off here. Marigold describes being swept up into a dizzying heights of a rain cloud out in the Pacific Ocean for 3 whole days. She dramatizes her landing on this very branch in the middle of last night's storm and hanging on for dear life as the wind shook the leaf so she could avoid the long fall to the jungle floor. Marigold begins to tell stories about several of her many friends and shares that she's sad for her friend Iris, who was lost in the lightning storm. Sadly, she doesn't expect to see her again. She continues talking at length about her many adventures on various islands across the Pacific during the past 4 years. And she goes on and on. Some of the other droplets on the leaf start to shy away and start their own conversations, but a few are trapped in the corner of the stem and become the unlikely recipients of Marigold's lengthy banter. On another edge of the leaf, there's a tiny droplet who's been crying softly. It seems that this young child has lost her mother, who probably bounced off of the leaf a few minutes ago when the wind shifted during the temperature change as the sun was rising. The small white droplet is comforted by a young teenage water drop named Poppy. Poppy tells a funny story about baby birds playing in a nest when one accidentally eats a small twig instead of a worm. Even though the child droplet still misses her mother, she starts to giggle at this story and soon begins to sparkle and grow a little larger. That is what happens to water droplets when they find a new friend. Poppy is named after the California poppy. She is bright orange, colorful, and came to be in a field in Sonoma County near a dairy farm. Poppy decides they should play a game to help the child forget her worries about her mother. She finds an oily substance on the tree next to them, puts some onto her own feet, and then helps the child to do the same. Then they slip and slide all over the leaf. They zoom over the heads of several droplets who yell after them, "Be more careful." They pick up speed as they descend onto the far side of the leaf, near the lowest portion, and land with a big thump. They have tumbled into a pile and have managed to accidentally knock a crotchety old man Waterdrop off of his bench, where he was resting peacefully, watching the sunrise. Whoops, cries Poppy. Yikes, squeals the child, but it's too late. And there he is, splayed out onto the leaf, face down. Poppy helps him back onto the bench, and he complains that they've broken his cane when they had their crash landing. Needless to say, he demands an apology. A quivering Poppy says, "I'm so sorry, I hope you're okay." But that's not enough for him. "How can you be so careless?" he grumbles. The small child points out that there's only a tiny scratch and the cane is perfectly fine. Poppy even offers to repaint the cane. Finally, the old man is content and introduces himself as Mr. Howler Ramirez. He is black with a golden brown mantle. He says he's named after the noisy monkey who lives in a tree nearby and always yells and complains. Poppy and the child share a knowing look. Since he has spent his entire life in Costa Rica, he has decided to take a last name, just like a human. He asks the child, "And who are you, my dear little droplet?" The child firmly asserts that her name is Lily, and she is named after the flower, lily of the valley. She says that she came to be several years ago in the countryside of northern Michigan, and that this is her first trip to Costa Rica. Then she launches into a litany about her favorite foods and her many toys back home. She uses a lilting lyrical voice that makes Mr. Ramirez chortle, and Poppy giggle. Lily then turns the chatter toward her father, who came to be in Barcelona, and her mother, who is part of the Royal Stuart droplets from Scotland. Then she's back to describing her toys, and quickly admits that her favorite toy is a helicopter. In fact, she tells them she would be delighted to share a story about the unusual helicopters they have in Vermont. That is, if they will kindly listen. Poppy and Mr. Ramirez get settled on the bench, while Lily stands in front of them and asks them to shh, as if she is ready to let them in on a big secret.